Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we'll be checking out some tracks off of an album titled Key to the City from an act named Nyk Cage. And if we switch over to here, we've got this on Spotify now. This album, we're going to be checking out 3 tracks today. We've got Supercharged featuring Germs, Fall Off, Key to the City, and then finally Ragtops. So we're going to listen through each of these tracks from start till finish. And we're going to hear what we think. Let's see, what do we got? Interesting lo-fi hip-hop intro here. Like the filtering.
Check. Don't hit my phone, I'm in that mode. Walking by my lonesome on this road. Niggas always got excuses when it's time to plot maneuvers. Acting like I never knew you once I strike gold. Man. New goals, new friends, nice. New homes, more land, more plans. Let's build, let's grow, nah, for real. Now when we chilled off the coast, it's surreal. I'm working the wheel of the boat but can't swim. Bold enough to walk across water in some Timbs. Y'all niggas barely existing, I'm trying to live. Take every dream I imagine and make it real. Show you how to take what's in heaven and bring it here.
I mean, it seems so nostalgic with that vinylish tone there, that bar, 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 you know, really simple sort of like motif to groove with alongside the really polished 808 bass tones. The percussion there, that's a little bit, you know, like it's enough to keep you interested, but not too much to overpower the overall mood there. There's a weird sweetness to it.
Don't hit my phone, I'm in that mode. Walking by my lonesome on this road. Niggas always got excuses when it's time to plot maneuvers. Acting like I never knew you once I strike gold. I'm gone.
Yeah, man. Shit, just like that, we was gone, bro. Shit, let me pull you up something real quick.
I mean, like, and we talk about the folly of like the water, etc. Like the guy talking about, no, don't bother me. As soon as I get to where I need to be, as soon as I find success, I'm out of here. And I adore that, man. They're supercharged. They're focused on what they want to get, and they know there's a point where they've just got to split. They just got to bounce. You know, it's great.
You know, we at our coordinates are 12.20 north. You know what I'm saying? 80 degrees. Never mind, you wouldn't understand, but just ask the captain. He could speak it more clear.
New goals, new friends, new homes, more land, more plans. Let's build, let's grow, nah, for real. Now when we chill off the coast, it's surreal. I'm working the wheel of the boat. Man, treat these niggas like my kids. I done took boys and made them men. Niggas saw my passion and dedication was fierce. My dad told me so how a man thinketh he is. So I'm God, y'all appalled, but you scarred. How you leave the mirror then forget just who you are. Take you to the river, catch a fish without a rod. Transfigure then dissolve in the midst of you all. They in awe. The power of a thought can usurp the height of stars. Feel the charge emitting from your body through your pores. Go inside your heart, separate the light from dark. Now this journey we embark is not for the weak at all.
I mean, I hate to interrupt it. Just I think that's beautiful how he's talking about going inside yourself, separating the light from the dark, you know, becoming supercharged, your aura kind of coming out of you. That wah pedal on the guitar, it's so pretty. You know, there's a sense of hope, brightness, optimism from it, as if even though we've been struggling potentially, you know, dealing with the limitations of the others around us, with all the drama and stuff that comes from everyday life, they're finally off the coast on that boat, you know, enjoying themselves. And it's about finding the best of yourself and kind of elevating beyond what towards your dreams, if that is. And
what's that? You say like my watch? I appreciate that, but this is a timepiece, perpetual to be exact. You know, I was thinking the other day, when you free, time isn't real.
Great use of Foley there. And we've also got like the choir in the background there. That's charming. Kind kind of mirroring, you know, what's going on with the hook line. But it's also just stuff like knowing how to get the follow sounds of the water to mix with the rest of the track. It's not an easy thing to get them to kind of amalgamate. But we managed to nail that here, and it's a great first impression. It makes it almost cinematic. I think also it's worth like acknowledging, you know, it's worth acknowledging the fact that with this track, I think Germs was the one who was talking about the radio, had that radio filter to him in between Nyk Cage's bars and the verses. I think it was nice to have that kind of dreamy, sort of more relaxed tone, separate from Nyk Cage's more sort of like, how do I describe it? More objective, you know, this is where I'm at, this is where I'm going, this is what we need to do to be able to get the most out of ourselves, etc. And the theme behind it all was so chilled out and laid back and kind of like introspective. It's bittersweet, almost melancholic, but it's also like that's part of being a human being, and you've just got to find that light within yourself and make the most of it and get to a point where you find success. You know, we're all supercharged human beings. But I think that's a really great opening track. I'm glad to have heard it, and I understand why it's been getting some playtime. 15k plays is good. So great collab there. Basically, we've got track number 2 now. We'll listen through the rest of that song there. I just don't want to miss anything. But Fall Off, Key to the City, track number 2.
Yeah. Now they praying that I fall off. It's crazy. For real. Check. Why they praying that I fall off? I'm on vacay. On off, pouring champagne, nodding off. Keep it open, then charge the card. $350, that's nothing special. Car shopping, make go electric. Been the one like Elon. That should give you hints that I'm going Tesla.
I mean, like, it's just so important for those 30 seconds to be meaningful. To have just that wah, 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 that kind of synth there, that main focus instrumentally. To then have the vocals kind of lead us into the hi-hat section where those cymbals are on the side surrounding the rapper as he says also, like people hoping he'll fall off, that he'll fail, you know, that he won't get the key to the city.
Oh, infectious, off the grid, but the ball's connecting. Fine as hell, but the heart is messy. Cut the check, I autograph it, the art of macking. Sort of flashy, but low-key. To the train die, I'm a cold P. With a cold piece, never on eat. Crack a fifth of hen with the OG. I really be soaking the game up, especially if they done came up. Each one, teach one, but they know it all, you can't reach none. My first child will have 3 funds. Trust if anything happen, he up. Passing the wealth is a must. Hands off the wheel when I back in the truck. They praying that I fall off. I'm on vacay. Oh no, pouring champagne, nodding off. Keep it open, then charge the card. $350, that's nothing special. Car shopping, may go electric. Been the one like Elon. That should give you hints that I'm going Tesla.
I mean, like, I appreciate the fact that we've also got those portamento synths on the side just being introduced at this halfway point of the track. We're slowly developing it. We're trying not to fill up the motif completely instrumentally because we're aware that we need to give the listener more to something to kind of chew on as we go through the story. There's not a huge amount of melody to the vocal performance because it's predominantly rapping, and there's nothing wrong with that, should I say. But at the same time, you do need to have like development regardless, and I think that it's well handled here. I should also note it says production prod by the others, so I'll put that in the link in the description potentially. But yeah, this is a collaboration. I appreciate it. I just like the minimalism of the motif behind Nyk Cage as they speak their truth. It's great. I like the talk about the kids having the 3 trust funds and stuff. It seems like he really wants that genuine sort of feeling of success, and not only that, but to establish a legacy and to pass it on, you know.
I need a key to the city. I need the people to witness. I need my people to hit this, feeling it deep in their spirit. Walking amongst them, baby, I'm charged, don't touch me. I'ma go hard like rugby, yeah. Taking my time, not rushing. Only God gon' judge me. Knowing I came, I conquered. Overcame everything like promise. I mean, how could I not? Cream gon' rise to the top. She gon' ride when it's time. No, ain't no doubt in my mind. I'm the realest she saw with her eyes. Defending my honor with pride with all of her life. Why they praying that I fall off? I'm on vacay. Oh no, pouring champagne, nodding off. Keep it open, then charge the card. $350, that's nothing special. Car shopping, may go electric. Been the one like Elon. That should give you hints that I'm going Tesla. I need a key to the city. I need my people to witness, yeah. I need my people to hit this, feeling it deep in their spirit.
Key change?
Walking amongst them, baby, I'm charged, don't touch me. I'ma go hard like rugby, yeah. Taking my time, not rushing. Hey,
I mean, we don't need to go this hard, and I mean that genuinely. Often people, when they have a 2 to 3 minute track, will just like stop and they'll just have the same chord progression just repeated, you know. And it's a shame when that occurs because 3 minutes is a long time to have the same thing over and over, even if there's the aforementioned slow development that I discussed earlier on. But, you know, for it to go down a step, for that conclusion that he needs that key to the city, he wants people to see him be successful. He wants to prove that he hasn't fallen off. I think that that's an interesting move.
name me a nigga that's wavier. Walking a plank, no saving them. Stunt when they need to be saving it. Somebody tell me who raising them. Hand me the ball, I'm raising it. Can't let no hate in my radius. You can see I'm bright, I'm radiant. For the buck, I'm near like Brady now. Hey, check. Name me a nigga that's wavier. Walking a plank, no saving them. Stunt when they need to be saving it. Somebody tell me who raising them. Hey, check.
No, I think that the flow there was solid. The rapping was good. I think that the theme, the motif behind it with the synth, the kind of unusual kind of, there's some interesting synth tones there. A really great kind of almost abrasive 808 tone there that kind of thumps in the dark there. The drums kind of floating alongside the vocals. And just a few other little bits and pieces there to kind of elevate it with some interesting reverb tails on the hook section verses. It's an interesting album so far, to be sure. I can understand how the different parts connect, which is so integral, so vitally important to an album experience for me, because if you're going to make an album, at least make the tracks connected. At least make them make sense as something of a whole, and I'm happy with this album so far. We've got one more song for today. We've got Ragtops, track number 5. I accidentally had it on shuffle. Ragtops, track number 3 for today.
Yeah. Meeting after dark. Everything in cold like we speaking while at war. The only thing they saw was ragtops at the park. Ragtops, yeah. Was ragtops at the park. Ragtops, check. Yeah. Meeting after dark. Hitting that exhaust. Roller, chop, and spark. Only thing that they saw was ragtops at the park. Ragtops, yeah. Was ragtops at the park. Ragtops, check.
It's got a swing and a swagger to it. Dun da da dun. Dun da da dun. The vocal flow is not as kind of pedantic about staying totally in time with the drum beat. They're the 16th note groove, and I like the fact that they kind of brush by each other within the mix. You've got the kind of the lo-fi kind of filtered synthy guitar parts, etc. You know, like the delay and reverb tails there to make it a misty kind of interesting ambient vibe that's so fashionable in the late 2010s, early 2020s, you know.
I'm only getting older, my money getting longer. If we can hold the focus, I can see us taking over.
Love the combination of elements.
Reach. And the way I'm running shit, I need cleats. Corporate high-rise building, not the streets. That shit deceased. I need my money clean and the paperwork complete. Bank accounts overseas. Sitting in the ragtop, this was a dream. I just believe, nigga. Meeting after dark, hitting that exhaust. Roller, chop, and spark. Only thing that they saw was ragtops at the park. Yeah, was ragtops at the park.
Forgive me, I'm not sure what a ragtop is. I'll listen through the verse again if I don't get it by the end of the song, but this is obviously vitally important.
Check. Tallying the dividends I made from these REITs. Then I reinvest what I made from this week. I could lead you to the well. It's on you to take a drink. I could show you what to read. It's on you to pray and seek. I'm planning for the future. Renew the passport, the flight to Vancouver. Landing on a Tuesday. I'm all about improving. Write your goals down. Now it's time to pursue them. Monetize your influence, Nyk Cage.
Is this after we get the key to the city? The kind of stop start it. Bow, 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 bow. It's kind of, you're kind of chopping up the track and making it into its own thing, aren't you? I think that's really cool. I like it. It seems like it ended prematurely, like, because it ended at like the 207 mark as opposed to the 213, but I'll just listen through the verse and then we'll go into the conclusion, should I say? The conclusion. I'll learn to talk at some point. And this is my conclusion to my review of this album, Key to the City, from an act named Nyk Cage. What do I think this track is about? Well, Ragtops, I think it was about. He's talking about getting his accounts in order, his finances, being successful financially, having everything secure. Then in the second verse, he talks about leading you to the well, and he can show you how to be successful too, etc. And basically, I think he got the key to the city at this point, and now he's basically living the dream he wants to. I think this album as a whole, I think, is his journey from before he got the keys to the city, or the key to the city, all the sort of stuff he has to work out on his own, figure out, kind of decide the direction and the application. And then that halfway point, a fall off key to the city, where he's kind of dealing with people wanting him to fail, watching him for that to occur, and then getting the key to the city, and then in Ragtops kind of celebrating, doing a bit of a sort of a victory lap, being like, yeah, no, this is all the kind of stuff I'm going to do. I'm finally on the home stretch. This is my dream. We've made it. That's my interpretation of what this album is about. I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. I think it's actually really fantastic. It's an angle that I've gotten surprisingly less of, than I would have expected, considering the amount of music I reviewed at this point. I like the fact that we're just not overbearing with how we describe specific aspects. We're just simply trying to tell a story of, this is where I was, I wanted it. Then I came here, there were some things that were stopping me from doing it. Now I'm here, there's still stuff I need to do, but I admit I'm in a better position. I think this is surprisingly refreshing and frank. I think the way that it was told by Nyk Cage was really down to earth and easy to sort of digest, and I think that it was great to listen to because of that. It wasn't lacking in charisma by any point. I think that it was a fantastic performance on behalf of Nyk Cage, with Germs helping out as the kind of voiceover, I think, and supercharged in those kind of misty sessions with the water coming in. But I just think that Nyk Cage carried it with really sort of simple, easy to follow along 2 tracks there. He told the story he needed to, had a clear verse, chorus, verse structure, alternated between, there was enough range between the various elements to really enjoy them and make the most of it. And just in general, I'm really happy with this first impression of Nyk Cage's stuff. I mean, honestly, I think that he seems like he was just kind of, this was like a therapy for him, working through all this, kind of getting it out in the open. He was working out his own success through doing this album, so that's dope. I like it. And each of these tracks has got a fair amount of attention on Spotify. It's great. Genuinely, I hope he gets a lot more love. It seems really sincere. I think the flow of the rapping, the vocal technique, it was handled, the words came through clearly and were easy to understand. And in general, I'm super stoked to have had the chance to listen through these songs today, so that's great. Outside of that, I mean, these tracks were typically between 2.5 and 3.5 minutes, which I think is a good length. I don't think that you need tracks longer or shorter than that. I think that if you can tell the story in a way that makes sense without missing any key details, was not over explaining stuff, the length of time makes sense. And I think we had relatively minimalist motifs thanks to the production by the others as per the album art here, but it's also just the consideration that I think the minimalism was just simply due to the layers of the arrangement. We actually had a lot going on with the individual components. The drum kits had lots of different sort of rhythms that we're playing around with. We varied with 8 and 16th parts, maybe some sort of triplet flows occasionally. We never really sat too much on something. We always like to kind of make it fit the flow of the vocals, which is so integral to percussion, having that unity, that synergy between various elements of a mix. But it was also just the basses being so tight and low, and we didn't just have a long 808 or a long bass. Sometimes it'd be more staccato or punchy, but there wasn't bass all the time either. Sometimes things floated, sometimes things came down to nest. Sometimes the house came down and it was just heavy and it was just great. But not too much. It was never too much. It had this kind of old-timey kind of nostalgic feel to it, with a combination of different guitar and sort of filtered, sort of vinyl-shaped kind of LP structures there. With the bass line and the drums adding sort of more contemporary elements that I'm very familiar with a lot of the lo-fi hip-hop I've reviewed over the last couple of years. But it's just Nyk Cage was interesting to listen to, and the stories that he told made sense with the backing parts of the accompaniment. There was enough range within them, especially in tracks like Key to the City, where the key changes at the end. And he finally gets to a point where I think he has that key to the city, or he's finally gotten that entrance. He doesn't have to worry about falling off anymore. He's gotten there. And I think that it's great that we didn't just have the same motif, copy and pasted. I like the fact that each of the songs had distinct backing, that we didn't rely too much on similar instruments doing similar things. We might have had textures kind of considered throughout the album, but they never overstayed their welcome. And I think that all in all, I'm just really happy with how the 3 tracks sounded today. The themes made sense for what we're doing vocally. I like the bit of Foley with the water and Supercharged. I think that was great as well. And a little bit more sort of cinematic and with like imagining it a bit more clearly. And I just it's really good. So with that out of the way, I think everything in the album was quite well connected from the various elements, and the compositions were engaging. It's just the studio recording, mixing, and mastering. And I'm really happy with how the vocals sounded in this. You know, everything was nicely balanced a bit. The vocals had a great sort of presence there. Occasional bits of reverb or filtering or something like that to kind of make it a bit more misty and ambient, but that was cool. The drums were nice and punchy in the mix without ever being too much. There was a really sort of subtle but elegant bass resonance to AOA's any other stuff related that came out. The guitars were nicely felt and had very little low end because they kind of floated into mid-high registers, in addition to the stuff that was going on with like any sort of like synth elements there, like the portamento we had in Fall Off Key of the City there, which was on a different side of the frequency spectrum, which was great. Things were nice and wide in the stereo field. There were no weird resonances in the frequency spectrum, so things were well balanced there, with the leveling being really adequate. I'm really happy with how things were matched with each other. And it was nice and low without pumping. So limiting compression was sounded well with more than like acceptable dynamic range to it. I mean, this is my positive review of Nyk Cage's album Key to the City. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show some love via their various social medias and a Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.